Confederate battle flag, first flown during the American Civil War by the Confederate Army, is widely regarded as one of the most controversial symbols in the United States because of its direct ties to slavery and racism. The Confederacy seceded from the Union primarily to preserve slavery, and the flag became its battlefield emblem. While some defend it as a symbol of Southern heritage or rebellion, its modern use is closely associated with racism and white supremacy. After the war, it faded from use but resurfaced in the 1950s and 1960s as a political tool against the civil rights movement when it was flown by segregationists and adopted by states such as Georgia and South Carolina. Since then, it has been prominently displayed by the Ku Klux Klan, neo-Confederate groups, and white supremacist movements, reinforcing its association with racial hatred. Supporters often argue it symbolizes Southern pride. But for many, especially African Americans, it is seen as a reminder of slavery, segregation, lynching, and systemic racism. Its controversy has led to repeated debates, and after the 2015 Charleston Church massacre, when the killer was shown posing with the flag, it was removed from official display in South Carolina and denounced across much of the nation as a symbol of racial oppression. Ku Klux Klan flag. A flag featuring a red cross with a white circle and a blood drop at its center is regarded as one of the most notorious hate symbols in the United States. Unlike national or state flags, it was created solely to represent the Klan's ideology of white supremacy, racial segregation, and violent opposition to civil rights. Since its founding in 1865, the Klan has used flags and banners to rally members and intimidate African Americans, immigrants, Jews, Catholics, and other minorities, making the flag a direct emblem of racial terror. It is hated and controversial because it represents lynchings, cross burnings, and decades of violence carried out by the Klan to maintain white dominance. Today, it is classified by civil rights organizations as a hate symbol. LGBTQ pride flag, commonly called the rainbow flag, is one of the most recognized symbols of the LGBTQ+ rights movement worldwide. It was first designed in 1978 by artist and activist Gilbert Baker in San Francisco at the request of Harvey Milk, one of the first openly gay elected officials in the United States. The original version had 8 stripes, each color representing a concept such as life, healing, sunlight, nature, harmony, and spirit. Over time, it was simplified to 6 stripes: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and violet, which remains the most widely used design today. The flag is flown at pride events, LGBTQ+ gatherings, and in public spaces to symbolize visibility, acceptance, equality, and the celebration of diversity. The pride flag is controversial because it has become a lightning rod in the broader cultural and political debates over sexuality, gender identity, and civil rights. Supporters see it as a vital emblem of progress, inclusion, and the fight against discrimination. However, some religious groups, conservative communities, and political opponents criticize it as conflicting with traditional moral or religious values, while others argue it represents an agenda they oppose being promoted in schools, government, and public spaces. In certain countries, the flag is banned or restricted, and in the United States, it has been at the center of heated debates about whether it should be displayed on government property or in classrooms. Black Panther flag. This flag typically features the Black Panther logo placed on the 3 Pan-African colors and is associated with the Black Panther Party, a revolutionary black nationalist and socialist organization founded in 1966 in Oakland, California. The party was established to challenge police brutality and systemic racism against African Americans, and it quickly grew into a nationwide movement. While the Panthers are most famously known for their community programs, such as free breakfast for children, health clinics, and educational initiatives, they were equally recognized for their militant self-defense stance, often carrying firearms while monitoring police behavior. The controversy around the Black Panther flag stems from the party's militant image and its clashes with law enforcement. Many Americans, especially in the 1960s and 1970s, saw the Black Panthers as an extremist, violent and anti-police organization, and government agencies like the FBI labeled them a domestic threat. Mississippi state flag. This flag was used by the state of Mississippi from 1894 up until 2020, and it was one of the most controversial state flags in US history because it incorporated the Confederate battle emblem in its design. The flag featured 3 horizontal stripes, blue, white, and red, with the Confederate battle cross in the upper left corner. The flag became a point of controversy because it tied the state's official identity to the Confederacy, which fought to preserve slavery. The flag was repeatedly challenged in modern times. In 2001, Mississippi held a statewide referendum to decide whether to change it, but voters chose to keep it. But after the 2015 Charleston church massacre, momentum to remove Confederate imagery grew nationwide, and pressure mounted on Mississippi to retire its flag. In June 2020, during the widespread protests following the killing of George Floyd, lawmakers voted to retire the flag, acknowledging that it no longer represented the whole state and was damaging Mississippi's image nationally and globally. On November 3, 2020, Mississippi voters approved a new flag design, the "In God We Trust" flag, which replaced the Confederate emblem with a magnolia blossom surrounded by stars. Neo-Nazi flags. These are among the most hated and controversial symbols in the United States because they openly promote an ideology rooted in racism, anti-Semitism, violence, and white supremacy. These flags are used by extremist groups that idolize Adolf Hitler and the Nazi regime, and they often display variations of the swastika, SS lightning bolts, the Black Sun, and other Nazi-era imagery. Their controversy comes from what they represent: the glorification of Nazi Germany, which was responsible for the Holocaust, the systematic murder of 6 million Jews, along with millions of others including Romani people, disabled individuals, and political dissidents. Antifa flag. The Antifa flag represents the Anti-Fascist Action Movement, a left-wing group opposing far-right extremists, such as neo-Nazis and white supremacists. Most members hold anti-authoritarian, anti-capitalist, and anti-state views, with many identifying as anarchists, communists, or socialists. The flag itself symbolizes anarchism and communism. It originates from the 1932 German anti-fascist movement founded by the Communist Party of Germany during the Weimar Republic. In Germany, Antifa later split into different factions, including anti-imperialist, anti-Zionist, and anti-German groups. It is classified as part of the extreme left and has been accused of violent and terrorist activities. In the United States, the Antifa flag is highly controversial because it is closely tied to militant protests, clashes with police, and confrontations with far-right groups. Its anti-capitalist and anti-state message has led many to view it as fundamentally opposed to American democratic and economic systems, fueling accusations that it promotes chaos rather than justice. Upside-down American flag. The upside-down American flag is officially recognized in the US flag code as a distress signal meant to indicate extreme danger to life or property, but in modern times, it has become widely used as a form of political protest, which makes it highly controversial. Protesters from across the political spectrum have displayed it to express disapproval of government actions, highlight racial injustice, oppose wars, or claim threats to democracy. But outside of emergencies, many view it as a deliberate act of disrespect. For veterans and patriotic citizens, the flag represents national unity and sacrifice, so turning it upside down is seen as dishonoring the country and those who served under it. While supporters defend it as a protected form of free speech, critics argue it desecrates a national symbol, creating sharp divides over whether it represents legitimate protest or outright disrespect. This tension is why the upside-down flag is hated by many and remains one of the most polarizing uses of the American flag. American Indian Movement flag. The American Indian Movement flag is a red banner featuring a yellow handprint and feathers, symbolizing native sovereignty, resistance, and the struggles of indigenous peoples against centuries of oppression in the United States. It was created during the rise of AIM in the late 1960s and 1970s. When the movement fought for treaty rights, land reclamation, protection of sacred sites, and an end to systemic discrimination and police brutality against Native Americans. The flag became especially recognized during major confrontations such as the 1973 occupation of Wounded Knee, where AIM activists clashed with federal authorities in a 71-day standoff that highlighted broken treaties and injustices faced by tribes. While for many indigenous communities the flag represents pride, cultural survival, and justice, it is controversial because critics associate AEM with militancy, radical protests, and confrontations that sometimes turned violent. Federal authorities in the 1970s labeled AEM as extremist, and even today, some Americans see the flag as anti-government or divisive because it challenges US historical narratives and highlights ongoing struggles over land and sovereignty. Supporters argue it represents truth and resistance against oppression, but detractors view it as confrontational, which is why the AIM flag remains both a powerful symbol of indigenous rights and a source of controversy in the United States. Transgender Pride Flag. The Transgender Pride Flag was created in 1999 by American trans woman and activist Monica Helms. It consists of 5 horizontal stripes, 2 light blue for boys, 2 pink for girls, and a white center stripe representing those who are transitioning, intersex, or identify outside the gender binary. The flag is designed so that no matter how it is flown, it remains correct, symbolizing finding harmony and being right in one's gender identity. It has since become the most recognized symbol of transgender identity and activism, widely used in pride events,